Many businesses are cutting hours as the economy weakens. Why is this the case? Inflation has been going up, but you don't have to be a victim of it. I'm going to talk about what you can do today. It's important that we pay attention to this and we get into this community aspect so that we realize we're not alone here. Many people are feeling the effects of it, but we can mitigate that with some strategies that we'll talk about here. I want to give you the news, but I also want to show you what you not only can do, but must be doing right now. How does that sound? Let's begin with this. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Businesses are cutting workers' hours in a warning sign for the economy. You've heard a lot about this recently, of course, as these different businesses have either been laying off or they have been reducing the hours for a lot of people. Let me cover a couple quotes and then what you need to be doing. Here we have it. Businesses are starting to cut workers' hours, forcing hundreds of thousands of people into part-time roles in what could be an early warning sign for the economy. Now, this has been going on for a little while. We've seen a lot of people doing temporary jobs, working 2 and 3 jobs. These are the statistics, but of course, it's starting to take hold and they're even taking notice. The number of people who worked part-time but want to work full-time rose by 452,000 in June. That is the biggest jump in more than 3 years. This is just one statistic, of course, but it's an important one because these people want to be working full time, they just can't find the work. And that's why when you are reliant on that single paycheck, you are simply hoping and praying that these things will be the way they are. Oh, no worries, my job is safe. I'm not going to be bought out by another company, outsourced by my company, replaced by robotics or AI and automation. Oh no, everything is going to be the way it is. And those can be disrupted at any moment for all these different reasons. And that's why you need to start realizing that number one, you got to build something on the side. Not because you think that that's going to take over your primary income. That would be great. But that if any problem started to arise, that you have the ability to step in and say, okay, now I can take action. This is what I've noticed the vast majority of the people in the Money GPS mentorship are looking at. And I realize that this is the reason why. They're not just trying to say, well, I want to do away with the 9 to 5 job. It's really about preparation in many cases because we see these things and suddenly people, they've been working 25 years in a position. I'll tell you the story I told the group in the mentorship. Basically, I had these people working beside me and behind me that were in these positions for 25 years plus, and they didn't know anything else except what they did in that particular job. Now, in one way to look at it, they were trying to get fired. They were saying, hey, I want my severance package. I'm going to get out of here and they're going to pay me out. But what are they going to do after that? They literally have no skill outside of that position. They got to go work for the next financial company trying to get that exact same role, or else they can't do anything. Do you understand how fearful that can make somebody? Yeah, they got their severance package, but it's not going to carry them out all the way. You've got to be preparing well in advance. And that's what I'm talking about here. That's why we want to have that. Now, you might say that's not too interesting. Other people, they can be building up their real estate portfolio so that it pays them down the line. But all of these things are assets. A business is an asset, just like real estate is an asset, just like stocks that pay dividends would do the same for you. But that's a long-term scenario. And of course, these are the things we'll talk about more here in this video. I hope you're interested in this. This is really exciting stuff. The community that we got on Discord is bringing up these things every day. I'm in there as well as others just sharing all this info, and we've only just begun. This community is growing and I want you to be there. Link in the description for the Discord group. Let's look at this. Americans seeking cheaper everyday essentials threaten corporate growth. Oh, that's right. I'm sure you're real concerned about Walmart and all these other big box stores, Target and everything in their bottom line, right? Well, I know we don't really necessarily have to care about the shareholders, but there's a lot of jobs around that. That's for sure. US shoppers are buying fewer items and reducing transactions. Retailers, package goods makers headed for a tough period. I just went to buy toilet paper today, and my goodness, I didn't realize how expensive that was. My goodness. I mean, things that are basic essentials are just off the charts in terms of how much they cost. And that should be something that, for the vast majority of people, you got to be aware of. And so, while maybe we're not going to manufacture our own toilet paper, we got to do things. Number one, to shop at the right places. A lot of times, just changing that one thing could make a big difference. You can use an app like Flip, Flipp. That is another one that's going to find you the right thing at the right price. It searches all the flyers in your local area. There are others, of course, out there, Reebee and so on. There are things that you can be doing. For instance, people that eat animals, if they go out there and they see their local farmer, well, they should be going and trying to buy in bulk and then splitting that with their family and friends, because they're going to get a much better deal and probably much healthier than you're going to go and buy it at the supermarket, right? So what I would suggest to people is, if they want to get in contact with their farmer, there's, in most cases, you drive an hour in any direction, you could probably find one, and you start going as often as you possibly can. And just at the beginning, hello, how are you? Love your farm here. This is fantastic. You go away, you come back again. Maybe it's every weekend. Maybe there's a farmer's market. You go and see, hello, wonderful. I love what you're doing here. Hey, I'm just here with my family. You just start to talk. Get that talking happening. Get that talking. And after 3, 4, 5 times, you could start to make real good deals that are just generally not available. What can you do for me? How can you help me? I'd like to offer you this. My family wants to split this. What are we going to do? Let's talk about that. Let's make a deal and let's reduce our costs. And not only that, when you got a good farmer connection, you're going to have access to that food supply that might be disrupted at the supermarket. So you see that community aspect, that's extremely important. And that's something that we'll talk about here that you're not going to get elsewhere in most cases, okay? So definitely keep joining me on this adventure as we move through. One of the aspects that is really crushing people right now, of course, is related to housing in every aspect. I mean, you've seen it. I know you've seen it. It's all over the place, whether that is rent, whether that's on the mortgage side. This happens to be the mortgage. UK 2-year mortgage rate hits the highest since 2008 in fresh pain. The average fixed rate mortgage has surpassed a mini budget peak. Inflation and rate hikes are heaping pressure on mortgage holders. Yes, that is a concern. Of course, for a lot of these places, you can see that inflation is really taking its toll really badly. And those circumstances aren't going to change anytime soon. A lot of people, they're calling for deflation, and certainly that could happen. I just don't see it happening. And you got to factor in how much inflation there has been. Like if you look at prices of things, let's say you were buying that toilet paper, it was $10, then it became $20. If it was then $15, it's still well above where it was a few years ago. So even if there is a level of deflation, it's got to be super, just really substantial in order for it to have the dramatic effect that people are hoping for. People are hoping and praying that we will get a serious economic decline, even a depression, saying, they've got their preparations in place so that they can take advantage. That is fantastic. We want that. Of course. So many of us want that. We want prices to come down, but they're not letting it come down. These central bankers, unless you believe that they're doing this intentionally, I mean, they got to be out of their minds. They printed trillions upon trillions of dollars in 2020, even while real estate was going up. They reduced interest rates. They were pouring gasoline on this inflationary fire, and yet they were telling you that they were helping. I mean, this is crazy talk. And that's why we got to do our best to be prepared. And how do we do that? Well, we got inflation. We got to mitigate that inflation as best we can. And that is, all different levels. We want to be able to have a portfolio that can weather any storm. And that portfolio doesn't mean like a stock portfolio necessarily. We got to understand that assets come in many different forms. For me, I love businesses because I can make money from all different places around the world in different currencies. So I get currency diversification, and I also get economic diversification, because if I'm selling over in the UK, that's great. If I'm selling over in another country, that's great. If I am purchasing products in a country, so I'm selling products to the US, but I am purchasing products from a country that has a devalued currency, my currency, my input cost has actually gone down in relation just because of the strength of the US dollar. Do you see that? This is incredible, but people don't realize that, and they look at assets in such a traditional way that it is a disservice to you. That's why I keep speaking this message, and we are going to continue to talk about that and utilize this as best we can. I hope you understand where I'm going with that. I talk about this in the mentorship. I'm doing courses about this too. I'm creating something called the Side Hustle Blueprint, which is going to give you a step-by-step way to mitigate the problems of this recession. And it's not just this recession, any recession, or just simply how to get out of this world that people find themselves in. Pressure from inflation, let's get around that. All right? Hope you're interested. It's coming. Traders are betting that the Bank of England will raise borrowing costs to a 25-year high by next year. Could push the average mortgage rates past 7%. So just understand that this is continuing. It's not stopping anytime soon. Please, just please get into that zone, into that headspace. U.S. consumers are suffering in a less than robust economy. So we're seeing these headlines everywhere. I just wanted to make that clear, okay? And then we have this. Bad news, real-time disability data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, rose 857,000 in June to an all-time high. That's 34 million people. Can you see that? Can you see that chart from here? It is showing you that the amount of people on disability is just going up and up and up and up. Now, you might say, it might be something that you suggest that, hey, these people are milking it. And certainly some of them are. But we know that that means the government is going to be putting more money into it. Your taxpayer dollars are going into it. And you could argue as well that this will contribute to inflation. So the inflation's not going to stop. We know that. Even if there is some level of deflation at some point, even if it's relatively severe, in general, your prices, the prices you pay for things, are going to go up. And so you got to be prepared for that. You got to be aware of that. And we have to be able to make sure we don't end up like one of these statistics, that we don't have disabilities. So, and if we do, that we are going to be able to provide for ourselves. And that means having an income stream that we can do while we're, maybe unable to leave the house. Okay, that's key. I talk to people and they say, I can't work anymore. Okay, I cannot work a job as a functional person to get out of the house and to, do the 9 to 5. It can't work for me. And so they have to be able to work from a laptop because maybe they need to be in their own home, but they don't have the skills to do that. So that's why a lot of people are interested, because I always talk about Amazon. They're interested in the Amazon thing. Of course, anybody interested, you let me know. We'll talk. But the point here is you've got to do what you can, and you got to get around the people that are like-minded. Because if you don't, you feel alone. You feel lost. Trust me, I know about this. And that's why I'm so grateful to the people that are around here in the Money GPS community. I want to thank you so much. Just realize you're not alone here. This is for us. This community is for us, and we're going to grow. And we are going to be maybe a minority when it comes to the whole, but we are not alone. That's the important part, okay? So that's my message for today. I hope you appreciated it. I hope you appreciate all these little tips that I'm throwing in, the tidbits, because this is the real data, the real stuff that we got to know. Let me know in the comments below if you really like the way that I approach this video. I really want to know what you're thinking. Put it down below. and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.